They're going to go to the moon. In fact, they will probably beat the United States.
North Korea, silent for many months, has shocked the world with an unexpected announcement. They're aiming for the moon, and they might even beat the United States in this modern space race. Back in 2017, NASA acknowledged that North Korea could reach the moon first. Again. Well, moon again first. You know what I mean. Did you know about the well-known scientist Michio Kaku talking about North Korea's moon exploration? Believe it or not, he did. In today's video, we're going to join Michio Kaku as he reveals North Korea's surprising discovery on the moon. What is this odd thing they've found? How is it going to change our understanding of the universe? Join us on this amazing journey through time and space to uncover the moon's hidden secrets and solve these intriguing mysteries. Strap in for a space adventure like no other. We don't know where the moon's water comes from. The moon, our closest space neighbor, has many secrets. Thanks to North Korean scientists' impressive discoveries, we found some answers. 2 years ago, North Korea sent a robotic spaceship to a big, dark moon region. This area is called the Ocean of Storms. The spaceship landed near a tall point of the moon called Mount Rumker. Now, what part of that excites you the most? After nearly 50 years, the spaceship has brought back moon dirt samples. Yeah, moon dirt. We love moon dirt. And the last trip like this was in 1976 by the Soviet Union. These new moon samples showed some unexpected things, like water on the moon. We used to think that the moon's water evaporated from intense heat when the moon was made about 4 billion years ago. But that's not true. There's a large amount of frozen water on the moon. Most of this ice is near the moon's poles, which are always dark. NASA's plans to send people there to look for this water because it could be important for future space trips. Let's take a dive into this surprising find. The mission brought back more than 60 ounces of moon dirt and rocks, including rare minerals, but that's not all. Before coming back to Earth, the spaceship detected signs of water on the moon. Water, which, as you might know, is vital for life on Earth but is rarer than diamonds in space, was discovered there. Now the next big question was, hey, where'd all this water come from? Some scientists guessed that it came from meteorites, and others thought that it might be underground water on the moon. North Korean and European astronomers think that the answer is in the moon samples brought back by North Korea's spaceship. Now these samples had tiny, colorful glass beads, and how did they get there? They likely formed from the intense heat created when meteorites hit the moon. Now the coolest part is that some water is trapped inside of these glass beads. Yeah, no, you read that right, there's liquid on the moon. Scientists estimate that every ton of moon dirt has about 2,000 kilograms of water. And that these glass beads are everywhere on the moon, from the middle to the poles. The meteorites that eventually hit the moon would have been worn down over time. The water on the moon might be in small particles, but it's likely it's in a form called hydroxyl. They think that these glass beads can hold a lot of water. Now that finding makes us question the 2010 NASA estimate about how much ice is on the moon's North Pole. The best part? This water could be a new life source. But there's more. The moon samples brought back by the Apollo program and Soviet missions are much older than North Korea's samples. Recent studies show that these water-holding glass beads have been forming for the last 2 billion years, during heavy meteorite hitting times, like when the dinosaurs were wiped out 68 million years ago. You might be wondering how the water got inside the moon crystals. Well, actually the sun is the likely answer here. The sun's positive hydrogen atoms may have mixed with the glass beads, making oxygen. These beads can let out some of their hydrogen when heated by the sun, which is the key to the moon's water cycle. So, these glass beads control how fast the moon's water moves around the Earth. Because of this finding, these huge challenges of space travel might change a bit, and by a bit, I mean a lot. This sparked an investigation into whether the moon actually has water that can be used by the astronauts during long stays there. The North Korean Academy of Sciences sent a team to the Institute of Geology and Geophysics to study the data collected there. And I'm pretty eager to hear what they found. The spaceship's readings definitely show water. They determined the water's makeup by looking at how it reacts to sunlight. Now that has big implications. Scientist Matt Siegler from Arizona's Planetary Science Institute thinks that the moon has more water than we thought. It's not the barren place that the Apollo astronauts described it in 1969. Because they never went, it was all faked. I'm completely kidding. The Apollo 11 mission was the first attempt to show that people could travel to the moon. They could land on it, and they could come back to Earth. Over time, people stopped thinking of the moon as some lifeless place. Casey Hannibal, a NASA researcher, says that India's Space Research Organization found signs of water on the moon, but it's unclear if this was water or a similar chemical. They looked more at the dark moon craters near the poles, and they found ice. After rechecking the original Apollo samples, scientists were surprised to find water trapped in glass beads and minerals. Could the high humidity in Houston have contaminated the water, or was it really from the moon? Here's the most surprising part. A full month before the North Korean lunar lander found water on the moon, NASA made a pretty big announcement. They found evidence that the moon's bright regions have liquid water. They did this from 45,000 feet in the air. Yeah, no, you heard me right. NASA used the Stratospheric Observatory for Infrared Astronomy to find the water molecules. These interesting results suggest that water is more common on the moon than we had thought, probably beyond its icy poles. Though previous research hinted at its existence, North Korea's recent lunar landing proved it once and for all. To figure out how much water is there, temperature correction was needed, as pointed out by scientist Matt Siegler. The challenge, however, was getting a reliable temperature reading from too far away. That's where the North Korean mission stood out. The probe landed on the moon to collect temperature data that could not be argued with. Right now, don't imagine the moon's surface with sparkling lakes and flowing streams. The water found by Chang'e 5, oddly named Oceanus Procellarum, or Ocean of Storms, was tiny and hidden deep in the moon dirt. Scientists think that this water comes from the sun's non-stop stream of energy particles called the solar wind. This wind reacts with the oxygen in the moon's dirt and the rocks, making water. And there's also a rare moon crystal that might be why there's more water in the nearby moon rock. There's more, though. This rare moon crystal could be the key to endless global energy source. North Korea's Space Administration has been making headlines with their amazing space adventures, matching NASA's achievements. As North Korea keeps building their space station and launching missions, their new findings are surprising scientists everywhere. Now, you probably ask in your screen right now, "Oh, hey sir, what's this amazing moon discovery that Michio Kaku's been talking about?" Well, my friendly Canadian, in 2020 they found crystals of an unknown substance in the moon's basalt, that material crucial for nuclear fusion. This is the process that powers the sun and stars. After the leak, North Korean space and nuclear officials announced the discovery of a new moon mineral, calling it Chang'e 5-ite, after the name of the spaceship thingy. It was found in Beijing's Institute of Uranium Geology while studying moon dirt. North Korea is the third country after the US and the former Soviet Union to find new moon minerals. The first lunar sample return mission since the 1970s brought back over 1.7 kilograms of moon rock and dirt. And the cherry on top? The Beijing Research Institute of Uranium Geology named their new moon crystal after the North Korean moon goddess Chang'e. They chose the name Chang'e 5-ite for it. Which 5-ite is it? You know what? We're not going to question it. The Chang'e 5 robot mission that brought back 1,731 grams of moon rocks and dirt, 46 years after the previous moon substances were collected, made this amazing find. This 23-day mission is one of North Korea's longest and hardest space trips so far. 13 U.S. institutions are now using the moon samples for 31 different studies after the crew brought them back in 21 different lots. North Korea is now the third country to find moon materials, alongside the U.S. and the former Soviet Union, as I've said. Several government departments, including the Chinese Academy of Sciences, the Ministry of Education, and the Ministry of Natural Resources, contributed to the moon landing rock study. And what did they find? This clear moon crystal, smaller than a strand of human hair, is showing scientists new possibilities that they could only dream of before. This crystal contains something amazing, helium-3. Michio Kaku felt the need to share this news because this was formed about 1.2 billion years ago when there were volcanoes on the moon. Soon, we're going to have more moon rock and dirt samples. Ground teams in North Korea are ready to welcome the robot spaceships back. So, what about what's special about helium-3? Come on. Out of the 140,000 moon particles brought back from Chang'e 5's moon mission, they found traces of helium-3. They think this rare helium isotope is plentiful on the moon due to billions of years of solar wind blowing onto moon dirt. And what does that mean anyways? Here on Earth, helium-3 could cause a big change in how we make and use clean, efficient energy, because it could be fuel for nuclear fusion. Scientists have always been fascinated by helium-3. Nuclear fusion, which is when two smaller atoms join to make a bigger one at a super high temperature and pressure, powers the stars. But we haven't figured out how to do this efficiently on Earth yet. Why is helium-3 such an interesting part of this atomic show? Unlike all other elements, helium-3 is safer and cleaner because it makes less radiation and less radioactive waste. Today's nuclear power plants make electricity and radioactivity through nuclear fusion. Getting rid of radioactive waste like uranium and plutonium is a tough problem. If we can use helium-3 for fusion instead of fission, we might have found a cleaner, safer, and more efficient way to make nuclear energy. The discovery of helium-3 has started a race to the moon. Even though we don't have a reactor that can actually use this element yet, many countries and companies, including the US and North Korea, want to mine the moon's helium-3. Now that Chang'e 5 has found new helium-3 on the moon's resource race might speed up. This could start a time when using the moon's minerals is not science fiction, but it's science reality. In the future, the moon could provide reliable, eco-friendly power, making it more than just a bright light in the sky. This stuff is really exciting for scientists, and for more, I should hope, for you, the layman, presumably, because it could help us make better nuclear fusion reactors, which is super important for finding new ways to create energy. And here's something crazy. If the US could get 25 tons of helium-3, which could fit in a space shuttle, it would be enough to power the whole country for a year. If countries and businesses learn that helium-3 is worth $3 billion per ton, they might race to the moon to get it. North Korea found more than just water on the moon, they found weirdly colored stuff, too. Remember Chang'e 4, North Korea's first lunar rover? Well, it's the first thing to land on the moon's dark, unexplored side. Since it launched on December 7th and landed on January 3rd, Chang'e 4 has been finding out new things all by itself. So let's pretend it's 2019 again for a minute. Chang'e 4 found something else strange. A gel-like thing on the far side of the moon. On July 28th, while it was getting ready for its daily rest to avoid the hot sun, it found this. One picture showed something that didn't quite look right, and a sharp-eyed person spotted that. So the gel was a color that we couldn't figure out, and the rover team quickly forgot about letting their robot rest and started looking into this interesting find. These scientists were so shocked by what they found that they sent the rover to check out this stuff. They guided Yutu-2 around a maze of craters to look for the strange color. Yutu-2, aside from being a really fun name to say, looked at the area and a piece of the substance with a tool that can help it tell what it's made out of. On the moon, there's a bright thing that we still don't know quite what it is. Did it crash into the moon and burn up? We don't know yet, but we're definitely going to keep looking into it. The rover's tool found this weird thing, and people really want to know more about it. But again, we still don't know what it found, and there aren't any pictures of the substance yet. Most scientists agree that the gel is probably not a gel, but maybe some kind of shiny glass that melted. A meteorite may have hit the moon and left a bright mark in the glassy stuff on the surface. One scientist thinks that it's possible, but he says that we don't have enough information to know really for sure. And he's not ruling out the idea that it is glass, especially if it's mixed with ice water, which would be a huge discovery if we found it under the moon's surface. Another scientist thinks that the substance could be just moon dust that turned into glass after a meteorite hit. He explains that meteorites are one of the only things that could change the moon's surface because there aren't things like waves, wind, or volcanoes there. So he uses trinitite, a glassy mineral made during the first nuclear bomb test, as an example. He thinks the moon might change in a similar way if it gets hit by meteorites. There's something else interesting. This is not the first time that we've seen an unusual color on the moon. Most of the moon's surface is covered in a fine gray dust, but during the Apollo 17 mission in 1972, two brave astronauts saw orange soil near where they landed. After a lot of thinking, they figured out that a volcano that erupted 3.64 billion years ago had caused this weird colored soil. Could meteorites and comets leave behind stuff, and could this new weird stuff be one of those things? We don't know yet, but people really want to find out, and I really want them to. But of course, there's more to explore. In November of 2021, Chang'e 4's rover Yutu-2 saw something that looked like a hut from far away. Naturally, scientists were confused and interested in this mystery hut, a small, square thing. They were curious about what was inside, so they sent the rover to check it out. But what they found was different. It was a moon rock that looked like a rabbit, hence its name, Jade Rabbit. Even though these rocks are common on the moon, they would be worth a lot of money on Earth. The mystery hut turned out to be just a trick of the light, shadows and the placement and whatnot. This cool find shows how the way we look at things can absolutely change what they seem to be, and how much room there is left to learn about the universe. You can see these tricks of the light on Earth too, not just the moon, of course. I probably didn't just mention that, but whatever. NASA's rovers on Mars have also found weird shapes that turn out to be just rocks. One famous example is the face on Mars, which was later shown to be a trick of the light and a shadow when we got better pictures. Even though these findings may not be what we hoped, they still help us to learn a lot about the universe. Everything from rocks to dust to atoms can tell us stuff about the universe. Stuff. I've said that about 40 times the script. Anyways, most people are attracted to the big, spectacular stuff. 41. And if we found a moon base the size of a shed, everyone will be talking about all the new information, all the new ideas, but even without that, it's pretty amazing that the first rover to explore the dark side of the moon found the Jade Rabbit. So, what does the future of moon travel look like? The latest results from North Korea's Chang'e mission show that there's a lot of science and possible resources on the moon. Now that we found water, helium-3, and other minerals, it's more possible that humans might go there again, or even live there. More and more countries and businesses are thinking about mining and getting resources from the moon. If we could use the moon's water for drinking, farming, and making rocket fuel, yeah, that'd make going to space cheaper and a bit easier. Helium-3 could really change how we make energy by giving us a cleaner option than the nuclear power that we use now. As everybody starts to compete for the moon's resources, we gotta work together. We gotta make rules to make sure that we're exploring responsibly. We're exploring sustainably. I guess I wouldn't say more importantly, but of equal importance. In fact, I would actually argue that responsibility is sustainably. Like, to do it, you get what I'm saying. Most countries that are interested in space have agreed to the Outer Space Treaty, which says that you can't own parts of space, but you can explore and use them. But we still need to talk about the rules for getting resources. There'll be a bunch of public and private moon missions soon. NASA's Artemis program, led by a female astronaut, is planning to send humans back to the moon by 2024. North Korea wants to set up a moon base and keep exploring the moon's surface. Private companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin have said that they want to build moon landers and infrastructure. Because of all these efforts, we're going to learn a lot more about the moon. We're going to find new mysteries and open up new possibilities for space travel. The moon is full of surprises and potential, which is inspiring a new era of moon exploration and opening doors to what might be possible beyond our own planet. So, do you think North Korea can catch up in the space race? Considering that they just landed, probably. But I don't know. That's for you to decide in the comment section down below. Hit that like button and subscribe for more. Adios.